starting off with the aggressors, with the IGs. They got a -1 bump across the board. I think. I think that's fair. I don't think we ever really saw three aggressors being flown at the same time. I don't know that this will put three aggressors. What's IG 88? What is their did their title change?
No, I think
No,
their
their title's
titles.
still at one.
Yep.
Okay, so I mean, you could have fit through. You're not getting any toys on them if you do like CBD, BCD. But I mean, it fits. I think most of the time when you're seeing both of these and you're seeing a third ship, it's usually with the IGD title on something like a tugboat or something else or some other support ship. Um, no, I don't think a lot to say there other than good. Now I'm surprised that Drea didn't get any love because there's so many other ships that Drea got. Drea was punished during that same time period when we were talking about the veteran turret gunner and the what are they the big fatties that Nim is a part of. Um,
Skurgs.
Skurgs, yeah. So Drea was part of that punishment of the Skurgs and the veteran turret gunner. It looks like Dre is still in its timeout though, so I was kind of shocked by that because there's so many other ships that allow similar abilities now of rerolls and other things, and Dre is still on timeout. Cavill down by 2. Um, that's pretty good. And Initiative 5 Y wing. It's not seeing a lot of play. I don't know if it'll get a lot of play because of all the other toys that the Scum have, but 2 points down, I think, is warranted. And overall, you guys know I'm not a big fan of Y wings, so they can all go down in points, and I probably still won't play them, but I'm sure some of you will. Lima Kai, have no idea what Lima Kai does. -1 point.
Think
Sure.
something about friendly or enemy ship in back arc get free lock.
Mm.
Before
Hold
you
on,
engage, if
please.
you are not in any enemy ship's front arc, you may acquire a lock on an enemy ship in your full front arc.
There it is.
Okay.
Things that don't look at Lima Kai get hit hard by Lima Kai.
Okay. Uh, yeah, I remember it now. It was part of that last pack, right? The I'm not even gonna try to pronounce this thing. The hairdresser is down by a point. Again, I don't know what it does. I don't care what it does. I don't know that it'll get a lot of play even at 38.
Arliz Hadrassian. But I love hairdresser, by the way. That's a good one.
It's just the first thing that came to mind. The so then you got the other like the generic Y wings, -1, and also the Y wings that have the uh, the tech slot instead of the whatever they had before. Now that gained missile slot, lost gunner slot. Is that in? That's this one, right? That's a September 21 notes.
Yep.
Okay. So they gained a missile slot, lost a gunner slot. So they're not going to be putting veteran turret gunner on them anymore. They've got missile slots. That's the same as in the Rebels. So we already covered it in the Rebels about what kind of missiles you would throw on there. I think the net out of that conversation was nothing super meaningful.
I mean, this
So
also though disallows one of the big upgrades Cavill likes. There's no more Han Gunner allowed on Cavill for that nice big.
to get the double mod,
Yeah,
yeah,
which was
yeah,
already a
that's
large investment into Cavill, so that was not really taking that much anymore. But his cost going down, and I think Han Gunner will get to later. I think his cost also went down.
yeah. I think Han went
Doesn't
down,
matter
but
on the Y wing anymore.
no. And again, I'm probably not the best person to talk about the Y wings. Not a fan, so I barely know what they're called. But overall, the Y wings are down overall for good reason because nobody really is flying them. There's just so many different toys. YT 1300s stayed the same. So did the escape craft. I am personally offended that they decided to keep autopilot drone at 12 points. Come on, they lowered the Nash hashtag the
The
hash
Nash
brown.
top pup.
Yeah, they lowered that one. Why can't they lower autopilot? But okay, maybe next time they'll lower them. The Fang fighters did get one lower with the CAD fighter, the CAD Solus. CAD Solus, if I'm not mistaken, that is the one that gets double focus
On red maneuvers.
on red maneuvers.
Fully
So
executed red maneuvers. Yep.
yeah, so that's actually a really good ability. But it was also very expensive, 54 points. In most situations, you're better off, moving up the 2 points to get Ultra Rock, or moving down the 7 points to get down to Joy or to one of the Skull pilots. So
And it's still
minus,
down 6 points to get to Joy Rekoff, who likely wants to take ion torpedo, so that's 4 more on him. But a lot of people consider that to be a better effect, especially if you even add the 1 point cutthroat. Oh, now 2 points cutthroat.
yeah. But and so is that are you saying the same thing that I'm saying, that probably CAD, in order to really be a consideration, should probably be around 51? Still a little too high.
Might need to be a little cheaper, yeah, because I think Joy
Yeah.
Rekoff, if you add the 5 points onto him, which would make him 52 for 1 point cheaper. No, not 5 points, 6 points. So he will be equal to CAD Solus now if you load him up with the Ion Torp Cutthroat now. And I
Yeah.
think if he's equal, I still take Joy Rekoff.
Yeah, because Joy's ability with turning him to wedge is just so much
Just
better.
even carrying ion torpedoes, because you could fire one ion torp, use one charge to fire, and use the other charge to make an ion torp that really hits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It
to
could be
guarantee
either shot,
guarantee
and
the
having
effect. Yeah.
Cutthroat's pretty good.
Yeah, no kidding. And then that's the only real change on the Fang fighters. On the fire spray, Boba Fett went down by 1, from 86 to 85. I Boba Fett was good at 86. I think it's still good at 85. It did not gain the gunner slot back, so you're still not getting any shenanigans with Han. And I don't think we'll see a big change. People aren't going to flock to Boba Fett because of any of the changes that we saw here, that we've seen so far. I don't think so. Boba Fett, it's not a bad pilot. It's Initiative 5. It still has great ability. It still has a great toolkit, but ultimately, I don't think it's going to change. What people are flying. I think people are still going to continue to fly mostly what they're. I don't think people are going to flock to him. Now, Cass Scarlet, if I'm not mistaken, she is the one that gets to roll extra dice out of the back, or gets to do something out of the back, right?
Her ability is
Oh,
while you
no,
perform a
Cat-
primary
Cat Scar-
while
Oh,
you
you go
perform a
ahead.
primary attack, if there is at least one friendly non-limited, so
Oh,
generic
is that the one that has to be bumping?
ship at range 0 of the defender, roll an additional attack die.
Okay.
So if you have somebody
1.0
blocked,
Yeah, 1.0 is when she got the extra die out of the back.
It's
Right.
super niche, so yeah, her going down
Yeah.
that much makes sense. She's got to fit some other solid amount of friends in the list to get use of her ability.
and this
Yeah, you
is
need some blockers.
historical low for her. She debuted at 74.
Okay. And she's Initiative 4, I believe.
Mhm.
So I think, and I don't have I'm looking on the actual spreadsheet, so sorry if you're showing the other stuff and I'm asking you guys because I'm not seeing it. But I think 68 points for Initiative 4 fire spray is still good. Just as the ship chassis alone, it's good. 68 points for an Initiative 4 is good. But again, the Scum have so many different toys, and it doesn't seem that a lot of their toys got impacted too much outside of Zam, which we'll get to here in a little bit. Let's see. That was the only main change for the fire sprays. Not a lot of no changes in the Hawks, no changes in the Jump Masters, the Kurax fighters, no changes. Is that right? Like, did they
There's a whole lot of
most
no. There's a big gap right now.
Yeah,
Scroll
like
down.
Scum
Yeah,
has been really good for
Yeah.
a long time. So they just left all the stuff that basically didn't get played too much alone, and addressed some of the other things.
It seems that way because
and we
everything
know
else that
we
was
know a lot of the Scum broken stuff recently dealt more with the upgrades and not the actual
not the
chassis and
ship alone,
pilots. Yeah.
except the M3A cartel spacer. So the M3A cartel spacer did go up from 25 points to 27 points, matching what Sunny Bounder is at. Also, the auto blaster went up. We talked about that one earlier by 1, so that 27 to that previously 28 point M3A with an auto blaster is now 31 points. Harder to spam. I
think
think
it
this
went
is
up one too many.
no, I don't think so. Because you can still put tractor beams, ion cannons. I mean, there's still other things that you can
Oh yeah,
put
I mean,
on the
so
M3As.
the other cannons you can still put on. They didn't change their costs, but up 2 points might be a little much. I think 20.
I
I think
don't think
one
so.
point would have been fine.
I think 27 is fine. I think they the initiative 3. I forgot what they call them. Like there was a
And
phrase.
sorry, point veterans.
Yeah, sorry, Octocon. Yeah, Octocon's gonna have to find the new toy because that toy is gone. No, not completely gone. That's the whole thing. I don't think that the cartel spacer is necessarily unplayable at 27. I think it's still good. It's still a good role player. It's still if you have other initiative ones, I think you might have to replace like one of your cartel spacers with potentially a Z95 and initiative 1, and you get 5 points back out of that. So you might have to make some decisions on things that you're doing, but for the most part, it's it's still a good chassis, and it's still the ability to put cannons, missiles, or torpedoes on it is pretty strong. Then you get Foreman Approach. So Foreman Approach, if I'm not mistaken, went down by 3 points. If I'm not mistaken, that's the guy that does something with like disabled something like take a tractor or take
Before
a.
you engage, you may choose one enemy ship in your bullseye at range 1 to 2 and gain the disarm token. If you do, that ship gains 1 tractor.
Yeah, that's bad. So it went from 32 to 29. If I want to tractor somebody at whatever initiative that is for 9 points, guess what? I'll take a tugboat. They're also 29 points, and they're better, and they also get to shoot, so they don't have to disarm themselves to tractor you. So, nice that he's 29. Tugboats are better. Then you have Ahab. So Ahab is actually a really good ship. So Ahab rolls 3 attack dice against ships that are larger than itself. So that means all medium and large base ships, which there is a ton of right now. So all of a sudden, you have a TIE fighter rolling 3 attack dice against me. And at 28 points, if you want to compare this to Wampa, who has the potential to roll 3 attack dice, under certain circumstances at 30 points, I think Ahab is a really good take. And plus, on top of that, he gets to ignore rocks because of the native ability. So I actually think this is a good value. With the TIE.
And also don't forget, as much as you can get the 3 attack dice, he also rolls an additional defense dice when he's defending against ships that are larger than him as well.
Oh wow, yeah.
So
I forgot all about that.
I saw that one. I'm like, that's something to keep your eye on for a good filler, depending.
Yeah,
on the meta.
that's a really good value buy. So 28 points for a ship that can potentially become a 4 agility, 3 attack die against double fire sprays or something like that. Which we're not going to see double fire sprays, but fire spray plus other stuff. Really good. Let's see. Overseer's Yoshi. So I heard somebody giggling, but anyway, Overseer, 22 from 26 to 24, 22, 2 points down. What does Yoshi do? I forgot.
Yushin, before a friendly ship at range 1 would gain a disarm token. If that ship is not stressed, you may spend a charge. If you do, that ship gains 1 stress instead.
So instead of a disarm of stress. So basically that's the Foreman buddy. So basically, Foreman ends up stressed in order to do Foreman's ability.
So I think we now need a alt art card of Overseer Yushin with Yoshi and the tongue sticking out to eat the disarm token.
From Foreman.
And then there's an egg sitting nearby that has a stress token on top of it.
I like it.
Sounds good. So that combo went down by 5 points if that's the way it's intended to work. So that's actually not bad, right? 5 point. So yeah, I mean it's still very. You're not going to take it in any serious events, but just for funsies, I think that combo, making that combo a little more playable is overall good. The space tugs still all sitting at 29 points. I think those are still a steal, especially the named ones. Well, especially Unkar and Constable Zuvio, to be precise. Sarko, maybe. Skurgs all got a -2 drop. I think we
Nim's
started
coming
seeing
home.
Captain
He's
Nim a
coming
little
home.
bit, right? Yeah, I think we've seen Nim a little bit with trajectories and just paired up with other ships that are high initiative as well. Sol Sixa started also making a little bit of rounds with bombs. And I don't think we've seen the Loc Revenant since the veteran turret gunner and Drea stuff happened. But at 44 and 45 points, I think they're playable. I mean, they were playable already. I think just the Scum has so many different toys that these are some of the ones that got overlooked. But I don't think they got overlooked because they were overcosted. I think they got overlooked because just Scum has so many other options that are at a much better value.
And we've talked about it quite a bit. The Scum faction's a bit bloated because of just a lot. There's a lot of different ideas that fill Scum right now.
Yeah, it's just so many different ways that you can go with it. But I think this next one I want to talk about with you guys, just your opinion on it. So Guri, well, even before we get to Guri, just a Star Viper as a platform lost the advance. Well, I'm calling it advanced sensors.
The
Lost
advanced
the sensor slot.
It was the advanced sensor slot, to be realistic.
Yeah. So it lost the sensor slot and it gained the tech slot, which I think with the loss of bid, Guri was really the one that was taking advantage of that. But now with with that, you not likely taking that combination anymore. The tech slot probably gives it a lot more options. If even you're looking at what were they called? The ones that went up by 1 point. So the Black Sun Assassin going from 48 to 49 points. They lost the sensor slot. They gained the tech slot. You can throw automatic targeting priority on them now and keep them at 50. 4 of them at 50. And now they can continue to do the weird, ugly thing that we hate. But now bank calculates on top of that. So it's
I mean,
not
you can also take the Black Sun Enforcer with Pattern Analyzer now.
the black. Yeah. What'll that do for you?
Other Pattern Analyzer, you do a red maneuver, you still get an action.
Well, all of them can do that now, yeah.
Dalen Oberos meta, here we come.
Well, so Dalen has...
It's
a little different.
He gains a stress.
Pattern Analyzer won't trigger with him gaining a stress to rotate himself.
Yeah, because it's gain a stress.
Because it needs to be a red maneuver.
Oh, you're right.
But you can do a red maneuver and double stress yourself and still do an action, I guess.
Prime thrusters is actually the answer, though, for these guys, right?
For him, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, they do like to be stressed because of the way that they fly. So, I don't... obviously the one that was being spammed can still be spammed. By spam, I only mean 4 of them. It's not like they can get 5 or 6 in there. Again, I think that might be a thing for those with automatic target priority, but the other ones also, they all went down by 3 points. That's the Black Sun Assassin. Dallin went down by 3, and then Guri went down by 4. Actually, no, the Black Sun Enforcer is stayed the same. The Black Sun Assassin, which is the initiative 3, right? Is the one that went.
Yeah, Assassin 3, Enforcer 2.
Yeah. So the Assassin is at 45. The initiative 3 one is. Now, is that just a typo on your end, Dion? Row 89, lost sensor, gain tech slot. I'm guessing that one also got it, right?
Oh, it should also have that, yeah.
Okay. Got it. Okay, that's where I was getting confused. But Guri. So people have not been flying Guri a whole lot. Guri goes down by 4 points. Obviously, you're not stapling advanced sensors on Guri anymore. So Guri was effectively 74 before. Now he's at 60. She's at 60. It's at 60. Is 60 still too much for Guri? It kind of feels like it might be.
Don't know. Hard to tell. And that barrel roll is so ridiculous.
At initiative 5, yeah, but I mean, advanced sensors is really what was allowing it to do everything that it wanted to do, because it can reposition first, then move, and then get the free focus from the ability. But now,
I think the thing that changes it here is with prime thrusters on her, she can now K-turn and still boost and get in, or not K-turn, they have sloops, right? She can turn around, boost, and get into range 1 of somebody and still use her ability. One of the biggest things, like when you had advanced sensors on Guri, you never really had to. There was no reason to do a sloop 90% of the time, so you never saw it. But now, without the advanced sensors, now you have basically an answer for those turnaround times to be able to get into range 1 and use the ability.
yeah, it makes it more flexible for sure. I remember that with advanced sensors, basically, advanced sensors into a K turn was a trap, because then you knew where she was going to be next turn, and that was like, okay, now's my turn, my shot to kill you, because I know where you're going to be. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting, because there's just so many other things that Scum can play with, and 60 points is a lot of points still. It's a good chassis. Did the Star Viper title change? Let's see, Star Viper, Virago. Nope, Virago's still at 7.
Virago does a lot, so
it does a lot, yeah. But Virago allows you to reposition as a red maneuver, right? At the end phase.
That and like gains like 2 shields and an extra mod slot, I think, too.
Okay, so maybe prime thrusters and Virago. Now you're getting expensive. That's an extra 16 points. But now you can Virago, and you can still, because that's at the end phase, you can still get all your repositioning with Guri, even if you did not, relieve your stress. Anyway, it's I don't think we'll see it played that much, especially when you see Bosk is also the same points. I see Bosk and Guri. I'm gonna take Bosk almost every time. All right, let's see the YV666 went down in points across the board minus Bosk. Bosk stayed at 60. Moralo Eval went down by 2 from 66 to 64. Razi went down 1. I think those are basically not getting the hammer like we thought they would get the hammer, mainly because we'll see down there that Zam got the hammer. So
the tools got it.
Yeah. So I think Bosk and Morale are still probably where they need to be. And I do believe that even though Bosk was getting most of the love, I do think that Moralo is a better ship. Like, if you make Moralo and Bosk the same and you let Moralo fly around, it's just
We'll also get into one of Morello's favorite tools in Scum also got cheaper.
Oh, I haven't seen that, so I guess we'll get to that in a second. So the Z95s all went down 1 or 2 points, minus the generic binary pilot who stayed at 22. So Andrew Bosk, Kato, Lichos, Mortal Kombat, Black Sun Soldier went down by 1. Nash Hashish Pup went down 2.
Pup.
Yeah, he went down by 2, so he's on only 4 points. I don't have any problem with that outside of the fact that Escape Craft didn't also go down. So that's just me being sad about
the escape craft is useful. The Nash Top Pup is you are losing. You lost your major piece in the game. Here's a consolation prize.
Yeah, but still. Let's see. So yeah, I don't think that you don't see any of the Z95s, not even the binary pilot flying. So them going down in points makes sense because nobody's really flying them. From the upgrade slots, Astromech stayed the same. Boba Fett on the Scum went from 4 to 2. That's a half. Is that different than what does Boba Fett do?
So this is the one where you can at setup phase deploy outside of range 3 of enemy ships on the obstacle. Like I said, this one of Morello's one of his favorite tech tools. Is deploy someone else and make your opponent decide, is he gonna go off the board or is he gonna come at me?
Yeah, so that okay, now I see what you mean. So yeah, so put it on Morello, let Morello start behind somebody, being like, okay, I'm gonna shoot you turn 1 and 2 until you decide to point at me, then I'm gonna fly away, and then the rest of my squad is behind you. Yeah, I mean, sounds fair, sounds fun. So and it's not used that often, so I see why you could make it a little bit cheaper. At 2 points, and I think it's a fun design space. Not only with that, with like different ships as well. You can start with like like Scum Han somewhere and just get your target locks early or get your tokens early, and it's fast enough to like go away anyway with a boost. Let's see, Chewbacca is the one that allows you to essentially ditch a critical or flip it, not ditch it. Allows you to fix a critical every couple turns during the end of activation phase. Goes from 4 to 3. That again doesn't see a lot of play. It's a good card. I don't think it'll break anything. Jango Fett goes down from 7 to 6 points. I don't even know what it does. I don't know what most of these cards do. Good thing I don't play against them in tournaments.
While you defend or perform an attack, you may spend your lock on an enemy ship, to change one of your enemy's eyeball results to a blank.
I still don't know what it does even after you read it.
It changes. Change a blank. If you got a target lock on somebody, spend it to change a focus to a blank.
Okay, so it's kind of like the Jango, but with target locks instead of maneuver difficulty.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. Protector of Gleb goes up. Now, this is actually a big hit for the Scum faction, in a way. Now, the funny thing is that Protector of Gleb went up, and the tactical relay, or is that what it's called?
Officer.
Tactical officer went down, so I think that's
but those take up a crew slot each, so you'd have to have a double crew carrier to take both.
Well, not really, because they don't interact with each other, because one of them replaces the red coordinate with a white coordinate. This does not, I don't believe that it does, at least. But what I was going to say was with one going up and the other one going down, it just kind of moves the preferred coordinating ship back to the escape crafts, like Lando. Just get Lando at initiative 4, pop a tactical officer on it, and just keep it unstressed. That way, it's still kind of hard to kill because it has its rerolls, ticket stress to get a rerolls. And it's still not getting stressed to do that. However, even at 6 points, I think there's going to be plenty of situations or plenty of scenarios where Protector of Gleb is still the right call on a on a hawk or something like that. So let's see.
All right, now
Here we go.
the lady of the hour right here.
Zam Wessel goes from 4 to 11. What did we have it set at? When our
8.5 or 9.5?
And the over under?
Yeah.
The over under.
Let's see.
So whatever we had it set at, it was over. I think you, if I'm not mistaken, Ryan, you were thinking like 16.
I wanted it much higher. We set the line at 9.5.
Okay. 11. I think that's fair. I don't.
We'll see.
There was still, there was still 100 people who thought she would be cheaper than 9.5 points.
Yeah, but those are the 100 people that wanted to use it at the next tournament.
Correct.
You're probably right. Go ahead.
Gets it. Biases.
Yeah, that was like, hey, I'm flying this next time. Don't make it expensive. But I think at 11 it's fair. I know, Ryan, you think it should be higher, but
yeah, well, I'm willing to see what happens. We'll see.
Somebody in the chat earlier, I think it was the I'm gonna mess up your name too, so I mess up all the real Star Wars people. So if I mess up your name, deal with it. But someone like JD Besties or Bestos or JD Bessos or something like that. He was saying that he was still able to build the Zam, Greedo, Bosk, Lando, and Asajj. Probably, I'm guessing without Jabba, but basically,
there's probably a lot of upgrades lost in the process. But I mean, yeah, stuff can still exist. They're just not going to exist in the same form.
Yeah, I still think Bosk with this and Greedo, it's still going to be something to deal with. You might have to sacrifice some of the support ships in order to make room for Bosk to still do what Bosk wants to do. Case in point, dropping to the Initiative 4, Lando escapecraft to coordinate it and support it, or go to Dace with just something. There's things to do with it. So I don't think I don't think they priced it to where you can't take it anymore, but they priced it to where it's a difficult choice. You have to build specifically around this card in order for you to want to take it. Dion, what do you think about it?
Zam going up to 11 points?
Yeah, like how do you think it feels at 11?
I'm gonna have to see what ends up being built around it. A lot of the Scum lists they didn't have too many points for a bid and had other things with it. So the question is, what are you willing to throw out the window and keep it? Right? So you're going to have to find 7 points to get rid of on your list. If you had Gamet Key and Zam Wessel in your list, are you going to keep Key? Are you going to get rid of somebody else? Are you going to lower the partners that are with your? Of course, I'm assuming this is a Bosk, right? Are you going to get rid of the partners that was on there? Or maybe there's going to be another chassis that it works really well with. I think we're going to get some initial whiplash. We're going to see a huge decrease in the amount of Zam being played in favor of other things. And I think she'll end up somewhere not as popular as she is now, but I still think she is still very good.
Yeah, I think that a fat Bosk with Gamet, Key, and Zam and Greedo is still going to be. It's still a top tier list. It's just you're going to have to make concessions on what some of the support things are. Like you can't take, you can't take everything that you were taking before. You have to downgrade something in order to fit and make Bosk your cornerstone.
To put this in perspective a bit, I tried to build the last common 4-ship Scum list that we saw. That was the Lando, Bosk, Genesis Red, Joy, Rekkoff, right? That we saw. That's like one iteration of the type of Bosk list we saw. Lando, no upgrades. Bosk with Zam and Greedo. Genesis, Cutthroat, Proton Torpedo. Joy, Cutthroat, Ion Tort. And you still have a point. You just don't have FTC on Bosk, you don't have Gamut Key on Bosk, and you don't have Cutthroat on Bosk. But you got everything else. Still seems effective. You just lose some of the... You lose the Gamut stacking, and you lose the FTC on Bosk. So you got to make choices. Still seems pretty viable.
Yeah, and I still think, like, the way you read it out, it still feels like a top tier list. It still feels like it's got a lot of tools. It's gonna punch real hard, and the tools that you lost are not going to. I mean, they're bad. I mean, definitely you want Gamut Key or something in there, or the Cutthroats in there, but it's still pretty bad. Anyway, so enough. I don't think. I think we can probably talk about Zam more on Monday, or the main impacts on Monday, like the real big standouts. But just to move on, and for the sake of time, let's talk about Jabba the Hutt. Got punished, went from 6 to 11, went up 5 points after basically months and months and months of not being played at all. It found one list that it did well in, and it got the hammer.
One card that it mattered for.
Now, I will say, I wouldn't initially agree and be like, well, then if Jabba wouldn't have to go up as high if they would have addressed FTC higher. But we just got 2 cards that got introduced that I think Jabba could also abuse further, which is the Overtune Modulators and Babu Freak.
Yeah, maybe. But I still think 11 is pretty extreme. I don't think we'll see Jabba anytime soon on maybe an epic play you can see Jabba. But in a regular 200-point game, 11 points is just way too much. Now, Babu, before that, Han Solo actually surprisingly went down from 10 to 9. Han Solo is a great ability. Not many people use it. I'm not going to say nobody. Not many people use it. It's still really good on ships like Dengar that wants to basically double mod their shots. And it's still really good on ships that bump, like all of the YB666 would love to have Han Solo. I mean, that guarantees they'll always have a mod on their offense, regardless of whether they got bumped or what they did. So this is a really good ability. 9 points, I still think is 10 points. I think was fine. 9 points, I think it's still fine. Babu Freak. Let me figure out what Babu Freak does.
Yeah, Babu.
He's a tech, right?
He is an illicit for resistance or Scum with 3 charges. Obviously, he is unique, so he is before you would gain a non-lock red or orange token, you may spend 1 charge to place it on this card instead. During the system phase, if there are 1 or more tokens on this card, you must spend 1 charge. If you cannot, remove those tokens and gain the matching tokens.
Okay. So that is basically giving you 2 turns of stressing yourself and just saving them for later. Like, well, I know I'm going to die and I'm not going to have action, so might as well do this. I think it also gives you... It might have a nice little play with Forlom Crew, I think, because Forlom Crew gives you 2 what do you call it? Gives you 2
ion tokens.
And then Babu Freak allows you, if you would gain a non-lock red or orange token, you may spend a charge to place it on this card instead. So you gain 2 ion tokens to make somebody's focus token not matter. And then the next turn you spend 2 ion. No. And then you only put one of them on here. I don't think that works, actually. Never mind.
So
I got to
if
do
it
the
were,
math.
if they were going with Forlom, you probably only want to take one of the ion tokens, right? Say
Yeah,
if you're medium base, you don't want to get ion right away. So you pull the ion token, just one of them. And if there are one or more tokens, so it doesn't matter how many you have, if you have X amount of tokens on your card, you have to spend a charge. So you still have one more charge for the turn after or
and then
whenever
the
you
next
want
turn you do it again and you
to do
steal
it
one.
again. And now you have to deal with putting those 2 ion tokens, putting you up to 4
2.
in the following turn. Because
Yeah, so the
you're
first
still
turn.
retaining
No.
1 because Forlom gives you 2. So
Yeah,
on a
so the first.
large base, you get 2 straight turns of using Forlom without taking the ion effect. So
And
you
then
only
you
have to
get
deal
the
with that on
ion
the
on the
third.
third.
Yes.
And at that point, you'll have like 6 ion tokens, but who
Of
cares because you're
a
the same
bunch, yeah.
difference.
As
Yeah.
long as you're ioned once, that's all you need to clear them all.
Yeah, I mean, it's very.
Maybe there's a lot of other effects on it too. You can pull a disarm, so you can reload and shoot something in the same turn if you have to wait to get the action to get your requirement for the special weapon.
Yeah, true. So again, I don't see enough things that are benefiting from this for it to be worth 7 points. But I'm guessing that during testing, somebody found something that was menacing and worth 7 points. And I think the last one that matters is the Cutthroat went up by 1 point, similar to Disciplined, went from 1 to 2. Sitting at 2 points, I don't think Cutthroat is as good as Disciplined, but it's probably close in value. So I think 2 points is fine there as well. And then overall for the faction went down 34 points. Which, if we're keeping tally, I think the Rebel went down by 76, Empire went down by like 50 something, and this one went down by 30 something, which means that they felt the Scum was already at closer to balanced or closer to less good, right? Less needing less help than some of the other